Welcome, and thank you for joining SoCalREN's 2019 New Public Agency Programs Overview webinar. This webinar is brought to you by the Southern California Regional Energy Network, or SoCalREN Public Agency Programs. SoCalREN Public Agency Programs are administered by the County of Los Angeles and implemented by the Energy Coalition. Before we jump into the content for today's session, I'd like to cover a few business items that will help us have a better webinar experience and orient you with the structure of our Q&A that will happen during our closing segment. All attendees are muted for this presentation, and questions will be accepted through the Zoom conference chat function at the top right-hand side of your screen. To keep things tidy, when you're submitting questions, please identify which speaker you'd like to address your questions to. And we'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible in the time allowed, and any unanswered questions remaining at the end of our webinar today will be addressed offline after its conclusion. So we'll begin today's webinar with an introduction and some context behind SoCalREN's new public agency programs. Then we'll introduce each of our new programs, the Revolving Loan Fund, Pathway to Zero, and Metered Savings Programs. And then finally, we'll conclude with a Q&A session from our speakers. Speaking of which, here are today's speakers. Matt Skolnick is the SoCalREN Program Manager with the County of Los Angeles, and he'll be kicking us off today before we launch into the details on each of SoCalREN's new programs. Genaro is a director with the Energy Coalition, and the Energy Coalition is the implementer for SoCalREN Public Agency Programs. Genaro has a background in mechanical engineering, real estate, commercial retrofits, and energy management, and he'll be speaking about the Revolving Loan Fund during today's webinar. Alex is a project manager with the Energy Coalition. He supports business development and data analysis, and he has years of experience working in energy efficiency consulting and energy research. He'll be speaking about the Pathway to Zero program today. And then finally, we have Pranesh. He is a program manager with the Energy Coalition, and he's a registered professional engineer with over 15 years of experience. Pranesh leads program design and development initiatives for SoCalREN Public Agency Programs, and he'll be speaking about the Metered Savings Program today. Thank you to all of our speakers, and with that, I will pass off the mic to Matt. Take it away.
Thank you, Taylor. Hello, everybody. As Taylor mentioned, my name is Matt Skolnick, and I'm the program manager for the Southern California Regional Energy Network and Los Angeles County. And I'm going to provide some background and context for what we're doing here and what the REN is. I understand a lot of you are already enrolled agencies in the SoCalREN, so this may be repetitive for you, but we're just going to set the context here. So I guess first is the SoCalREN is a energy efficiency program administrator. We receive funds every year from the California Public Utilities Commission from the public goods charge that all ratepayers pay. And we use that funding to implement a variety of energy efficiency programs in the Southern California Regional Energy Network region or territory. Our territory covers more than just Los Angeles County. It includes all territory that's in SoCal Gas and SoCal Edison that are serviced by those two IOUs. And so we have a number of programs in a number of different sectors, as you see on the slide here. We have public agency programs, finance programs, and residential programs. The topic of today's webinar are our public sector programs, which we will be getting into more detail shortly. Next slide. Oh, I got it. Sorry. So our public agency programs, a little bit of background. We offer no-cost services to public agencies to complete energy retrofits at their facilities. The program is a one-stop shop that takes you from project identification to project completion and the receipt of any IOU incentives or rebates that come along with that project. We've operated this program for 5 years. It's very successful. I'm sure a number of you on the webinar have worked within it. And so growing from that program, we're here today to talk about 3 new public sector programs that we hope can help public agencies achieve their goals as much as our original project delivery program. So highlight, here's the territory of the REN I already mentioned. Another important point is that we serve more than just cities and counties. As you can see, we serve special districts, water agencies, and K through 12 school districts. So the genesis of these new programs was really outreach we do to our member agencies on a constant basis. We like to know how our performance is doing, and also what services public agencies are interested in that they haven't been getting from the REN historically. And so we got a lot of input, and earlier this year and last year, we sat together and tried to design some programs that would be responsive to what we're hearing from public agencies. And here are the three programs. The project delivery program is our main program that I mentioned just now that we've been operating for about 5 years. You can see the names of the other three programs there, and so those are today's focus, is our new programs, understanding what they do, what the requirements are, and how you might be able to take advantage of them. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Hanaro at Tech, who's going to go over our Revolving Loan Fund program.
Great, thank you, Matt, and good morning to everyone. I am excited to introduce to you the Revolving Loan Fund. Over the last 5 years of working with public agencies, we have seen firsthand that securing or encumbering budgets, as well as accessing financing, is a real challenge. It translates to delays in implementation of energy efficiency upgrades. The goal of the program is to therefore accelerate the implementation of these projects, and today's presentation has the objective of introducing you to the program and to also illustrate how the Revolving Loan Fund can in fact allow an agency to move forward with an implementation of an energy efficiency project now versus sometime in the future. Okay, so let's speak to the delays faced by agencies in need of funding or financing. So let's say they had an audit completed and have worked with SoCalREN to finalize a scope that they really wish to move forward with. However, they don't have the money to pay for the project, and their internal budgetary process is perhaps long and difficult, perhaps a year or two. There may also be a challenge with prioritizing the project within that internal budgetary process. This is the problem that RLF is designed to solve. Again, if you can't budget or have a long and difficult budgetary process, the current market options are not ideal solutions for the agencies that face this challenge. The available options that you see on the screen have a few drawbacks. So for instance, the utilities on-bill financing, or the Energy Commission's CEC loan, come on a reimbursable basis. So that means that the agency will require upfront cost, required to have the money to pay for the project upfront. Also, for instance, a lease or the energy lease financing or other forms of leases or loans may not have an attractive and cost-effective cost to the agency. The agency might also have challenges with encumbering that debt. If an agency was to consider grants, those come with significant investment in time, both in the planning stages as well as applying for those grants. So again, none of these options seem to be ideal for the agencies. So let's introduce the Revolving Loan Fund. With a 2-year term, it is designed as a short-term construction financing and a bridge to permanent forms of funding or financing. This is a new approach and an innovative approach that we haven't seen out there in the market as of yet. And we believe that this approach will unlock projects that are held in uncertainty as far as and with regards to funding or financing. The program has a 0% interest rate, and project managers of the SoCalREN program help the agencies through a simple application process. And we believe that a 4 to 6 week turnaround for the allocation of funds is possible. If the loan, it's not the loan that is the only thing that is available, but also support to the development of a financial strategy and the development of a repayment strategy. As mentioned before, the product itself or the loan is a short-term construction financing, and it's a bridge to a permanent loan, permanent financing or funding mechanisms. And so the support of the program is also to ensure that the agency has that strategy in place and a proper repayment strategy that the agency can buy into. The fund itself has limited funds available. We are currently looking at $2.2 million of available funds. We do want to prioritize serving those projects that are in disadvantaged communities or provide services or serving disadvantaged communities. And there is a 1% service fee that comes along and that is paid and added to the loan, but it's paid at the time that the loan is repaid, so at the end of the term. So looking back to the process, we believe that the RLF is an answer to the delays that agencies face. So let's say that after the audit, the program, the agency is ready to move forward, and with the RLF in hand, they will have a preliminary approval to give the agency the commitment to move forward with procurement of their project. After procurement, with actual construction costs in hand and approvals of any incentives or on-bill financing, the loan is requested and an offer letter provided ahead of the council or board meeting. So again, I want to emphasize that the goal here is to provide confidence and provide a surety to the agency at the end of or at the beginning of procurement phases so that they can move forward with the trust that they'll have the funds available to cover the construction financing period. Once the agency is ready to go to the board and secure and award the project, they will request the loan itself, and then within once the loan agreement is signed, the funds will be immediately available to the agency. So therefore, those delays of the agency and the uncertainty faced with regards to funding and financing can be addressed. To highlight the process a little more, let's go through an actual or an example. So let's say this is a Sudden Valley experience. So Sudden Valley's energy champion speaks to their SoCalREN project manager to determine if the RLF as a product is a suitable loan for their project. An RLF application will be received, will be filed and received, and a preliminary approval offered by SoCalREN. When Sudden Valley is ready to request board approval, a request of the loan and receive, they will request the loan and receive an offer to finance to move forward. The agency will then obtain approval from the governing board, and then funds are dispersed after the governing board approval and the signing of the loan agreement. Sudden Valley, in this case, will proceed to install their energy efficiency project, and after implementation, obtain the utility rebates and incentives, as well as the on-bill financing or other permanent funds or financing that they would have had as part of the prepayment strategy for the RLF loan. At that point, then the RLF loan is repaid back, and the cycle continues. Again, because of the limited funding, we do believe that the 1% fee will contribute to the continuation of the fund and making these funds available to more agencies. So that's essentially the introduction of the RLF program and the RLF product. At this point, I'd like to just say that we encourage you to consider the RLF as an additional option and form of financing to your projects. We hope that it opens the doors for you to move forward with projects that you might have not seemed to looked at having a viable future in the short term. And with that, I'll pass it on to the next speaker.
Great, thank you, Donaro. So my name is Alex, and I am a project manager who works on the SoCalREN. And I'm here to talk about Pathway to Zero, which is a new program that we have developed to help public agencies that serve disadvantaged communities go above and beyond energy efficiency projects. Before we move forward, I wanted to further discuss and define the term disadvantaged communities. And this is a term developed by the Cal Enviro screen, and it takes a look at a community's pollution, air quality, and other socioeconomic conditions, and compares them to other areas across California. And these communities that have been defined as a disadvantaged community are of notable focus for California, and there have been additional resources that have been allocated to help these communities improve their conditions and become, I guess, move out of the term of disadvantaged communities. And at SoCalREN, we have supported a number of disadvantaged communities, and we have developed this program to continue that support. So first, the SoCalREN understands that public agencies may not have the resources to go above and beyond energy efficiency projects, and we've realized that this is especially true for disadvantaged communities. And there are a number of needs that we feel that disadvantaged public agencies may need. One of these is expertise to pursue distributed energy resource strategies, financial resources, in-house expertise to coordinate energy efficiency and DER strategies, and then support with procurement and construction management. In the term distributed energy resources, I'm going to refer to as DER from now on. And DERs are a number of energy system or strategies that are distributed across the grid that can provide value to the customer and the utilities themselves. So some examples of DERs are solar systems, battery storage, and even demand response strategies. So there are a lot of current offerings out there from other third-party or utility programs that provide support and resources to address specific sections of DER implementation or energy efficiency implementation. But we've noticed that there is not a holistic approach that addresses the entire CPUC loading order, which consists of starting with energy efficiency and conservation, addressing any demand response or load control, and then getting into renewables and clean fossil fuels. And what we've tried to do with this Pathway to Zero program is develop a one-stop shop that builds off of the energy efficiency program that SoCalREN is known for implementing, and add on additional resources to help public agencies that serve disadvantaged communities get information on DER strategies. And so, as I just mentioned, Pathway to Zero, we feel, is the solution to offer this holistic one-stop shop. So the figure on the right highlights the eligible disadvantaged communities within SoCalREN's territory. And we also highlight in blue the currently enrolled disadvantaged communities. And this Pathway to Zero program will provide a customized high-level review of a number of energy opportunities for facilities that are located and serve disadvantaged communities. They will provide information that will help public agencies get started on choosing the right DER strategies that are applicable to their facilities, and provide ongoing project management support and additional resources to help. So the number of strategies that we are going to support with this Pathway to Zero program, there are a number of DER strategies and then some other general sustainability strategies. So the topics that we have decided to include in this program are demand response, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, solar water heating, photovoltaic and battery storage systems, green rate options, which are specific tariffs offered by the utilities that allow an agency to purchase a higher percentage of renewable energy mix in their electricity. For example, there is a 50% and 100% tariff offered by SCE that allows public agencies to increase the amount of renewable energies that are being received for their facilities. The next is permanent load shifting, which is a strategy that takes a high load system and kind of offsets the time of which that load is being used. So for example, if a specific system is being used during a higher cost time of use period, this strategy would shift that to a lower cost time of use. And that would help reduce a facility's overall utility bills and help the grid deal with higher loads during peak hours. And then finally, we'll also look at water efficiency measures. And so we think that the Pathway to Zero program provides a number of benefits to public agencies. One of them is SoCalREN's third-party unbiased support, which means we have no financial stake in your decisions, and we are looking to just provide all of the information that we can that's applicable to the public agency and try to guide them to make the best decision that's right for them. This is also an add-on service to SoCalREN's energy efficiency programs, which means that this is something that we will add on top of an energy efficiency project that we've developed for an agency's facility or facilities. And the idea here is to focus on the loading order and start with energy efficiency and then add additional DER or other sustainability strategies on top of that. This program will also have a SoCalREN project manager that will help guide agencies through the process and help them select the right DER or sustainability strategy that's applicable. And it also frees up public resources for other services that the public agency may need and helps reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. And as all of the SoCalREN services are, this is offered at no cost to the public agencies. So we wanted to do a quick little example right here. So for this program, Hill Valley is interested in identifying some energy savings for their historic courthouse. And they have gone through a preliminary energy efficiency audit. They have pulled out a number of energy efficiency measures, but they've also looked at some other DER strategies. And so after the SoCalREN project manager has discussed the findings and the Pathway to Zero program, the Hill Valley staff are very interested in going after these energy efficiency measures and also including some DER strategies. So in this example, we've kind of identified that they're looking to do some HVAC retrofits, some lighting upgrades, and then also install EV charging infrastructure. And so the SoCalREN project manager will prepare a proposal for this and work with the agency to identify funding strategies, pursue incentive applications for both the EE and the EV charging infrastructure, and help with the procurement support. And as the project moves forward through construction, the SoCalREN project manager will help Hill Valley coordinate with any of the third-party programs that are providing resources or incentives for both the energy efficiency and DER strategies, and they will support construction to completion and assist with finalizing any of the incentive measures and providing any necessary training for the staff. So finally, the project's complete, and the SoCalREN project manager will help the agency close out the project, assist with any training or maintenance, and celebrate the team's success. And so in this example, Hill Valley will now have an EV charging infrastructure that they can help charge their DeLoreans for future travel. And so if you're interested in this program, you can either reach out to your project manager or email the info@socalren.org to learn more and get started. And Nicole's contact is provided for anyone that's interested in enrolling in the SoCalREN. Next, I'm going to pass this over to Pranesh to talk about the Metered Savings Program, which is another program that we've developed to help agencies continue to reduce energy consumption.
Good morning, everyone. So let's talk about Metered Savings Program rather. So one of the drivers for this program has been that traditional energy efficiency measures that have had incentives or now have no incentives or reduced incentives, and the traditional EMs that I'm referring to are interior lighting retrofits and street lighting as examples. So what's happened is now, because of that, there is no services also that can go along with those measures. And however, with AB 802 that was passed, it has allowed the existing energy usage to be considered as the baseline energy usage. So that will allow services to be offered, or ratepayer funded services to be offered for any kind of energy efficiency measure, irrespective of whether they are at code or not. So that's been the reason, or one of the drivers for the metered savings program. Okay, so we all know that California has very ambitious goals of achieving or doubling energy efficiency by 2030. And in order to achieve that, public agencies will need to improve or upgrade the infrastructure and assets. And but in order to do that, they would have to at least go beyond Title 24 to avail of all these services. So and as a result of that, what happens is that there's a huge financial burden on these agencies that results in leaving many of the facilities or opportunities stranded. So that's one of the reasons that, again, metered savings program will address. Okay. So what is this program? It uses normalized metered energy consumption to measure energy usage and energy savings at the meter. And by normalized, we mean it's going to be shifted or shifted based on weather and any other factors that impact the usage. And it's mostly weather. So you'll be able to see a before and after implementation usage and do an apples to apples comparison on what your energy usage is. Now, it's also going to be a one-stop shop for all energy efficiency measures. And what that means is, if any of you have gone through utility incentives, the process, you would see that you would have to go through multiple programs. You would have to go through the DEEM, custom, the MPOP, but with this program, you'll be able to do it all under one program. So any measure that you have that you plan to implement will go under one program. And the post-implementation support, that's something I'm very excited to talk about, and you'll learn more about it in the next slide, but that's going to be offered for at least 2 years after completion. So normally through the project delivery program, our services have been offered until project completion, but now you're going to see support at least after 2 years from project completion. Now, one of the requirements for the program is that we need at least 10% savings, and it is more so that it's statistically detectable about the noise in the data. And it is something that we have seen based on projects that's very easy to achieve, especially for projects that have not had major energy efficiency retrofits in the past 5 years. So that's definitely doable and possible for most projects. Another thing which I want to point out is that it's again a one-stop shop. We heard about the project delivery program. So the services that are offered are going to be offered from start to finish, and it's all going to be through the project delivery program, which includes audits, financial assistance, technical specifications, procurement, and some construction management support. Okay, post-implementation support. So this is where we will be offering education and training services to the staff to ensure savings persistence. There's also going to be energy tracking through a green button platform. And this, we believe, will offer greater visibility into the energy usage for the facility personnel. And like they say, what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. So this will allow agencies to see how the usage is being tracked and to see how they can improve. And along with this data, we are also going to be providing performance reports that will allow customers to see if there are any major operational changes or building changes impacting energy usage. And along with that, there's also going to be updates or creation of O&M, operations and maintenance manuals that will help agencies to pursue savings beyond just having these measures installed. So all of this, of course, is going to increase persistence of energy savings and improving project payback and saving you more money. So let me walk you through this sample project. So before once we work with an agency, we identify which facilities we have potential for energy savings. And one of the first things we do as far as this program is to see if there is energy potential or energy savings of at least 10%. And there are other criteria that we look at. But once we feel that that it has passed all the criteria, we go to the next stage, which is collecting data, and this is mostly in the form of utility data. So there's not much work there as well, and SoCalREN will initiate that. And once we have the data, we will be screening it based on that data and finding if it is eligible for this program. Now, the next stage is the audit, and I just want to point out some of the measures that we may not traditionally install or claim in terms of the savings. Our behavior measures. So, example, in this case, we could have engagement of students and teachers to close doors and turn off lights. There are also other kinds of measures like building envelope measures, insulation, windows, all of those measures that traditionally are the code has gotten so high that it's very hard to go beyond that and claim savings. So all those measures can be installed. So LED lighting retrofits, that's another measure that can be installed, just giving you some examples there. But once we identify all the measures, we will be preparing a project proposal where we'll have all the financial metrics and get agency approval before we move on. And also, some of the other points, some of the other services that we offer is securing financial or providing financial support in terms of loans and on grants. So that's one thing that will help these projects move forward, and we also support on the procurement and construction management side. So we on the post-implementation side, so once we have the project installed, this is where we will work with the staff to understand what their needs are so that there is persistence of savings. And something that we just pointed earlier, we'll work with the school staff to track the savings on a monthly basis or based on what their needs are. And we will find or identify operational and building changes based on that data. And all of this data is going to be live data as far as we are concerned and on our end. So anytime there is an issue or things that we feel needs to be communicated to the agency, we will have that. And this is going to be tracked for at least 2 years. The other side of outside of the data, we will also be providing training to the staff on the energy efficiency measures installed, and this would also include any updating of maintenance plans. And we believe this will definitely build staff capacity and the expertise required, not only for the next 2 years, but for many more years to come. Okay, and like it was pointed for the earlier programs, if you want more information on this program, please contact your project manager, and the website will also have information on these program updates, or please do connect with Nicole if you're not already enrolled. The information for Nicole as a program engagement program manager is also provided here. And with that, I'll pass it on to Taylor.
Thank you to all of our speakers for sharing more about SoCalREN's new programs, and thank you to our webinar attendees for submitting some questions about the programs. We now have time to address a few of those questions, but be sure to submit those questions even if you don't think we'll be able to get to them today, because we'll be sure to follow up with you and address any questions that we aren't able to get to this morning. So I want to start off with a question from Kim for you, Pranesh. She's asking if you could share what an example might be of why an agency would or would not qualify for the metered savings program.
Sure. So one of the prime requirements would be that there needs to be at least 10% savings. So if we identify that there is not much savings, if the building is already up to code, or there is really not much potential there, then it might not qualify. If there is just one or two measures there, that's one reason why we may not go through this program. The other reason could be if there are what we call as predictable loads. So if there are, let's say it's a community center, and the energy usage is based on the number of events that are conducted in that center. Since in some cases those events are not predictable from year to year, that is another reason why we might not think it would be a good fit for this program. And there are other reasons, but these are the two big reasons in terms of why it would not be eligible for the program.
Great, thank you. My next question I'd like to bring up for our panelists is from Kim. She asks, is the Pathway to Zero program only for disadvantaged communities?
Yes, so the Pathway to Zero program currently is only for disadvantaged communities. And, we will, if that does change in the future, we will let everyone enrolled in SoCalREN know. But for now, it is only for disadvantaged communities. But if you do have any high-level questions on any of the strategies we mentioned, feel free to reach out to your SoCalREN program manager, and they can point you in the right direction on where to get further information.
Great, thanks for addressing that. I'm going to just hop in and address another one of the questions that's been submitted. Dawn asked if we'll be providing a copy of the disadvantaged community map. And yes, we will be providing these slides as a follow-up from today's webinar, so you can see that, that map if you'd like to reference it. You can also contact your SoCalREN project manager or info@socalren.org if you have a specific facility in mind that you want to understand if it's considered serving disadvantaged communities. The next question I want to bring up is from Chad. He's asking who will be implementing these programs and measures. Somebody want to take that question?
Yeah, so this is Matt. We have the Energy Coalition who are implementing the programs this year. There may be at some point in the near to mid future, the county may solicit for new implementers, just because that's the nature of public contracting. Is every few years you have to renew your push to get competitive bids. So that is likely going to happen at some point in the near to mid future, but on the public agency side, I would not expect any issue in the transition. These programs will continue no matter who's the implementer. And so, that's a long answer to that question, but I don't think that should be of concern to public agencies. And certainly we're working as hard as we can so that if there is a transition, there will be absolutely no disruptions.
Thank you, Matt. Our next question is from Alexander about the Revolving Loan Fund. He asks how long it will take for agencies to receive funds from the Revolving Loan Fund after submitting an application. Sanara, could you address that?
Yeah, so we believe that a 4 to 6 week turnaround time is very reasonable and very doable. And so again, this is a new program, and we will be looking through the processes and the logistics. But as of now, we don't see any challenges or any hurdles that we would have to overcome. So it's a pretty streamlined process as we've presented it.
A couple more questions have come in about the Revolving Loan Fund. What part of the measured costs, such as design, construction, planning, project management, et cetera, related to energy efficiency measures will be eligible for funding through the Revolving Loan Fund?
The Revolving Loan Fund will support all of the project costs related to the project. Great,
thanks for clarifying that. A couple more questions that I wanted to bring up. Genaro, could you talk a little bit about the limit on funding available through the Revolving Loan Fund? There are some questions about that $2.2 million limit, if it's annual or total, or if there's a limit on number of customers, et cetera.
Yeah, so the $2.2 million is a pot of funds that the county has available to make loans through this program. We do recognize that it's not a huge amount of money, but one of the reasons for this program being designed as a short-term construction loan is that we believe that we can get high utilization of those funds by providing these funds in a short term, around a 2-year term. In addition to that, we do have a preliminary approval process that will ensure that agencies interested in taking advantage of the program and the loan get on the list and become part of the request for funding. And as we do this and as we roll out this program, the county is continuing to look for additional sources of funds. And so we are hoping for demand for the program and demand for the product itself, and are confident that additional sources of funds can become available in the near future or in the future at some point, and that will increase the availability of funds.
Yeah, and this is Matt. I'll just add on that topic. I think as the county, our attitude is, almost first come, first serve. Whoever's interested in this, let us know, and we will work with you. Understanding that it's not a lot of money, and if you wait a little bit, you may have to wait until more funds become available. But in terms of where we're trying to, make this money useful, these funds useful, we want to go where the agencies are excited to do a project. So if you're interested, I would encourage you to reach out sooner than later to get the ball rolling to see if these funds in this program make sense for a project in your within your agency.
Great, thank you. A question about the metered savings program for you, Pranesh. It looks like there's going to be some energy metering equipment as part of this program requirement. Does the program pay for this equipment?
So typically it's going to be the electric utility meters, and if there is a requirement for additional metering, it would be paid by the program.
Great, thank you for clarifying that. And can the Revolving Loan Fund be used as a source of funding for projects in the metered savings program?
Yes.
Great, thank you. I wanted to ask a little bit more about the Revolving Loan Fund, Genaro. What are the criteria for the Revolving Loan Fund approval?
So the approvals from the implementer, the Energy Coalition as the implementer is managing the program, we would be looking through and reviewing the typical underwriting criteria that a loan product would undertake. And so the application process includes, budgets, previous year's budgets, and a few other items. We would then make a recommendation to fund to the county, and the county would have the ultimate approval of the loan, given the due diligence that we would have based on that agency and that project.
Thank you. That's all the questions that we've received for now that we're going to address today. So with that, I will thank you all so much for joining today's webinar. Please Check out our website, SoCalREN.org, if you want more information, or reach out to us at info@SoCalREN.org. And keep an eye on your inbox for an email with a recording of today's presentation. Thank you so much.